Alright, this is the battle between Kenneth Hong, Henry Chen, pole noodle fencing, any part of the pole noodle, and any part of the body. So let's get started. So when I went to this bout, I knew Henry, he's an extremely defensive person when it comes to pole noodling. Okay? So any lunges or any high risk moves are going to get me killed. I start off with a high offensive stance, you'll see in a second, and he starts off with the low defensive stance to counter this.
Go.
As you can see, I immediately start off with the feint attack, just to see if he parries, but he doesn't. He moves back instead. And he does the same thing. I move backwards. But the thing is, if I'm gonna feint attack, I'm gonna start off with a high offensive stance so he thinks it's more real. We have a little bit of non-combativity here, but one thing to notice during this is that we're constantly moving up and down. We're constantly moving back and forth. You can see his butt shake right there. But this moving back and forth, it constantly makes us question each other. Are we going to attack? Is he going to defend? What's going to happen? And something else to notice is that we always have our noodles in the same level. They're constantly about hip level. So if one person were to attack, it'd be easy parry. One thing to notice here is that I'm constantly flailing my noodle around. This may seem useless, but I'll show you why in a sec. As you can see here, he takes a step forward. And I see this as an aggressive play. I think he's going to strike right here as soon as he steps forward. So I start flailing my stick around just so he can't hit my blade away. Because if he hits my blade away and he charges at me, I'm not going to have anything to defend myself. So I start flailing it around. Okay, this is the first small little exchange. I try to beat his blade and go in for the attack here, but it doesn't work because he gets into a really good defensive position. I try to go for the attack right here because he's scratching his eye, so he's a little bit distracted, you know. So I gotta go for that attack, but he's immediately done scratching his eye. So I try to strike. He gets a defensive position. He disengages my blade, so I can't hit his blade away, and I immediately jump back. One mistake he did here that to prevent his counterattack from working was he attacked while I was at the bottom of my bounce right here. You see, I'm at the bottom, so I can easily just bounce backwards to avoid his next attack. Okay, so after I bounce back, there's a small moment of no combat, and I want to keep the momentum of the fight because I need to finish this off. He's getting ready to strike again. As you can see, his front foot is over. He's on his toes right here. But then instead of me striking first, he actually strikes first, which I don't expect because he's very defensive, you know. And there you go. He strikes first. He messes up, and I win. But I'll show you why I win. See, he goes with a strike here. I block with a parry, right? Okay, I block with the parry. But to catch me off guard, he attacks again. But the thing is, I'm so good that I block twice. I get the double parry, right? And his legs are so wide apart. He can't jump away. He can't do anything. And I'm about to my legs are still close together. I can still run at him. So right here, he tries to back up, but his legs, they're way too far apart, you know. And so after the second block, I jump at him just to get that extra boost of speed, because like walking towards him is like really slow, you know. And yeah, walking, it covers longer distance, but it's way too slow, so I jump at him instead. And right here, I strike his shoulder because that's the closest target to my pole noodle, you know. Yeah, so it's a lot faster, because if I struck any slower, he would have struck me right in my hip, right there. And if you notice right here as well, as I'm blocking, I'm at the bottom of my bounce, so I can easily jump up towards him and get him in the shoulder.
Go.
Of course, all of this is happening at light speed because we're Olympic pole noodle fencers. So thank you for listening to my analysis.